Okay, so what happens when you push the pre-fader listening button is that you can listen the signal through your headphones before the fader. It doesn't matter that the fader is really down or even is mute the signal, you can listen to it. That is this button for. And the other thing that will happen at the same time is that the meters, this LED will change and not show you that the mix. Instead, this LED will show you just the signal that you push the pre-fader listening. So if this would be like, for example, a kick sound, it will be pushing, you will see the lights like this. So you are watching the signal. What is the amount of signals? And in every console or mixer device, the amount of signal that is the ideal to work is in this side. In the LEDs, it's 0. That is the average, the perfect average. You can be a little lower because you need range, for example, for a voice, when the voice rise the voice, or you can be touching the plus 3 dBs or plus 6 dBs and it will be okay, but your average has to be on 0, so that is the amount of voltage that you need to the mixer works fine. So you push the pre-fader button and then you start to lift the gain knob until your average on that signal is on 0. So that is the first step. Then you have another instrument, the bass or the guitar, and you do the same. Pre-fader listening button, you will have the lights now, and you will lift the gain until you have the voltage enough to the mixer work. That is how do you use that. And at the same time, you will be able to just listen that signal on your headphones. So just be careful if you are setting up the gain for another signal to lift the button, because when you have two pre-fader listening buttons pushed, you will listen in your headphones both signals at the same time, and the lights will represent both signals at the same time. So you have to be careful with that. Then you have a little high pass filter. This is a kind of equalizer and a special button that what it's doing is cutting the frequencies below the number that is there. For example, this is cutting frequencies below 880 Hertz. I will explain this later, don't worry, I'm just showing you this. So the first step is receiving the signal, watching with the pre-fader listening, have the right amount of signals, and then you can go and flip through here. Then you have the equalizer. This equalizer has 3 bands. The highs is a shelving type equalizer, I will explain it. Then you have the mids, that is a semi-parametric equalizer, because you can choose the frequency, and after you choose the frequency, you can give to this frequency or you can attenuate it, that frequency. And then you have the low band, is a shelving to a fixed frequency, low frequency. So that is why I was talking to you. If I have the pre-fader button pushed, I will see the signal here moving with the instrument, is it a guitar, a piano, or whatever. And then I just cut frequency, I just push down the lows and the highs and the mid, and I just push down, that voltage will be lower. Every time that I cut will be lower. So if you are not using your gain knob, you will have a lower quantity of signals, and then you are cutting with the equalizer, you have less signals. So you have to think this is like water. It's like water going here is going down, you lift the water, so even if you are cutting, you have enough water to the signal go through the whole chain. But if you don't have enough water, you will have low water, then you are cutting, you don't have enough, you are sending it in other ways, you will not have enough water to reach the final of the signal, the path. So it is really important that you set the gain for, because when you equalize it, you will give more voltage or you have lower voltage. Then you have the aux sends. This is really important because you will have your main mix here. The faders represents like your main mix because it's easier to mix with a long fader, so you can move it and you can be like very precise on which amount of what signal, what microphone do you want more. So you will be using this, but you will need another speakers, for example, for the monitors of the musicians, or if you have a camera, you will be doing streaming, you will not be able to use the master because the master are the speaker where the people there is listening. So you need another output, another path, so that through the signal can flow, so you can use it in other ways. And that are the aux buses. This means that the signal is going to another way, another internal path going out, and you can use it for whatever you want. So this mixer, this special mixer, has two aux and a special aux that is designed for effects. Then you have the pan. This is like the panoramics. It's just so simple, like you have the L speaker and the R speaker, and with the pan you can choose if you want to listen the signal just in the right speaker or in the L speaker, so you can create it an stereo image. So this is very useful, for example, if you have several voices or 2 or 3 guitars, so you can pan the guitar that to this side, so you can clearly recognize that one guitar is sounding here and the other guitar will be sounding in the other speaker, so you can feel the difference. And then you have the assigns button, so you can design which of the main buses you will be using. The red one here is saying that this signal, after all that you are doing, when you lift the fader, is going through the stereo mix, is going through this fader. So this fader has their outputs and it's going to the speakers. So when I push this button, I am sending the signal to the stereo out. And if I push the 1, 2 button, it means when I lift the fader, the signals will go to the group 1, 2 fader. It also has their own outputs. You can use it to whatever you need. You can be as creative as you need, but it is mainly used for stuff like this. For example, you have all your drum in 4 microphones. So you send all the 4 microphones of the drum to groups 1 and 2. You do your mix, and this mix is not sounding in the main fader. It means that it's not yet sounding on the speakers, but it's sounding here in this group. So this group has the special button to send in to the main mix. So when I push this button with this fader, I am moving these 4 faders at the same time. This mix is going this way to this group, and with this fader I am sending the whole group to the main output. That is the main use that it has. Like you can group, for example, all the band and just have the voices separately, or the voices here and the main speaker here. I don't know, you can use it wherever you want, So you have another group, and that is how the signal flew through in this direction. Your signal will be passing through the gain stage, the equalizer stage, then you can send it to different buses and the main assignation. So your signal individually is going down in this way. You can visualize it like this way. It's going down, but at the same time you will mix it and it will interact with other signals in this way. So this way the faders will send the signal through the main outputs, or you can be mixing all the signals through an aux bus or an aux output. Now we are going to talk about equalizers, so we are going to the board to explain some stuff, and you can understand why we have a high shelving, a low shelving, and a semi-parametric equalizer with two knobs, why they are different and what is doing each one of these.